Good morning and welcome to the USA Cares podcast. I'm your host, Matt Castor. I am joined in studio this morning with Alexis Becker. Good morning, Alexis.
Good morning.
Welcome. We're glad you're tuning in this week. We're excited to be with you. For those of you who are new to the USA Cares podcast, we just want to let you know what this is. So this is a chance for us to celebrate all things veterans. It's an opportunity for us to speak directly to those veterans who may have served our country or are serving our country. And just let them feel that sense of community. Let them know that there's a whole world of veterans out there and active duty military personnel who want to support them. And not only that, there's a lot of us civilians who have never served who also want to support you too. So it's a chance for us to come, bring some guests on, talk about a little bit about what it's like to serve, what it's like to transition out of the service, and then some discussions about what's going on in the world. So we're excited you're with us. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and just make this part of your weekly routine. We'd love to have you join in each week. So, Alexis, how are you?
I'm a little tired today, Matt.
Why?
I'm not going to lie. We've been going a million miles an hour.
You just running kids around or what?
Kids, sports, school, work, life.
Yeah. Well,
it's catching up to me.
It happens. But you're doing great.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Yep. Got my coffee, so I'm
we'll do the best we can this morning for sure. So we've got a cool guest this morning. I'm excited to have him on. I got to meet Michael pretty recently, actually, and through kind of a mutual acquaintance who was bragging on him a lot. And I was like, man, I got to meet this guy. He's got a unique story, Army veteran. And just somebody I think that is telling a story that is fairly common to a lot of the veterans that we work with. And so I was excited to have him on. So let me welcome Michael Lemmons. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Matt. Thank you so much for having me, Alexis.
Hi there.
It's our pleasure. So thanks for being with us. So I told you, Michael, when I met you, that I don't think I'd ever had anybody come in my office before and brag about another human being the way that Cassie did. And so I'm like, man, I got to get to know this guy. But your story was one that struck me because it's interesting, but unfortunately, I don't think it's all that unique. And I think it's one that needs to be heard because a lot of people do go through this and feel like they're kind of all alone. And but before we get too far into it, tell me a little bit about what was your rank in the military? How many years did you put in? A little bit about you.
Sure, absolutely. So I enlisted in the Army in April 8, 2002. So for me, it was 4 days after my 17th birthday. And I came in on a program called DEP, which is a delayed entry program. So essentially the way it works is you go to basic training in between your junior and senior year of high school. You finish high school, then you go back and finish your advanced individual training. And then from that point, you're sent on to your duty station. So that's the program that I came in with and went through. I was an Army reservist for about my first 6 months. And then shortly there into the game, I knew the Army life was for me. So I pursued active duty. Spent a lot of time, Fort Carson, Colorado, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I went to Enrique Soto Cano Air Base, Honduras. Fort Meade, Maryland, just to name a few. And then, of course, overseas, I spent some time in Mosul, Iraq, Baghdad, Iraq, and Kabul and Paktika, Afghanistan. So kind of got to really, get the full experience. So it was really cool. My job was interesting. I came in as a petroleum supply specialist, which is basically a fueler.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, there was very few times where I was actually, doing fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, I was fixing or repairing vehicles in the maintenance platoon. I may have been a door gunner or a turret gunner on a convoy, things of that nature. So, but that was kind of, what really brought me in. And then later down the road, I ended up reclassifying my job and became a public affairs broadcast specialist. So, very similar to what we're doing right now, just doing live broadcasts for the American Forces Network and the defense media activity.
Nice. Wow. So your time in, you mentioned one place that I thought was pretty interesting was Honduras, because I don't hear a lot of stories about soldiers serving in Honduras. What was that like? Tell me what you did while you were there.
Honduras is the best kept hidden secret of the entire military. So it's
Yeah.
it's a Honduran Air Force base, and it's a training facility. But we have a Air Base Squadron down there. We also have a Special Forces team and an Army Forces battalion and a small medical element that they kind of run it. But they support 3 lines of effort down there. It's human trafficking, drug interdiction, and humanitarian aid. So that's kind of, what the main mission and focus is down there. As, the experience as a whole was incredible because, there's lots of cool duty stations, but how many can you go to and, on the weekends go to Roatan and go snorkel on the coral reef. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Not bad.
You can't beat that anywhere else. And then, the other thing that was really cool too is, waking up every morning to fresh plantains outside of your living hooch. So, it was just,
This sounds like a
very
good
surreal place to live.
Sounds like a good assignment.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. But I loved it. Yeah.
So you mentioned something to me about
radio and TV.
Yeah. You were spraying for something while you were there too, right? What was it you were telling me that?
Yeah. So we did run some operations there with some contracted governmental agencies to kind of eliminate some what could potentially have been. I'm trying to be very careful about what I say.
Okay. If we can't talk about it, that's okay. If we can't talk about it, that's okay. We'll skip over that part. Not a problem.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So right, yeah, cool. But one of those, I think it's interesting. Some of those places in the world where people don't think about American soldiers serving. That's one that's kind of new to me. So, well, good. So talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a really cool place, and, to anybody that's listening to this podcast that's active duty, it doesn't matter what branch you're in. This assignment is for any service member in the military. You just have to request it, through HRC. But definitely consider this, look into it. It is a very cool experience, and you're not going to see anything like it anywhere else in the world. So.
What was your time in? No, you're fine. What was your time in Iraq or in Afghanistan like? What was that? I know you went through a lot while you were there.
Sure. So I had a really unique experiences, during my deployments. My first one was really cool because I was a part of the initial invasion. So that was a really great experience. Kind of seeing and experiencing. That piece of history, as such a young person. For me, I was flown in from Kuwait to Mosul advanced party on an aircraft. And,
wow.
I was very fortunate. But, I can't really get into a whole lot of what we did up there. Yep. But we built and constructed a lot of refuel and ammunition supply points for our aviation support battalion. So it was a really cool experience. Shortly after that, ended up deploying to Baghdad for a 12-monther that got extended to a 15-month deployment. And there, wow. I was with the transportation company, so we supported a lot of things. So that was a really great experience. And then I think kind of what you're asking is what were some of those biggest challenges that we looked at and what we kind of had to deal with. And to be very honest with you, in Baghdad, it was indirect fire. Roadside bombs were always a big threat. Enemy insurgency was always a threat, things of that nature. But the thing that impacted and affected me for what would be the rest of my life was the result of, being wounded and injured from indirect fire. Okay. So, it was an unusual experience, I guess, because, you spend a lot of time training and preparing for it, but the moment it happens, you're like, how do you react? How do you, get through that? And luckily for me, I was surrounded by some really great people that really took care of me and got me well. So, that experience kind of smoothed over pretty well, but, shortly thereafter, I ended up in Afghanistan, and that's kind of where things became a little bit more difficult, I should say, from a combative standpoint, just because the conflict in Afghanistan is far more significant than anything I ever experienced between the initial invasion of Iraq and 15 months in Baghdad. So, you go from kind of wondering if you're going to get shot at to knowing that you're going to be shot at every day. And that's really the main difference, at least in my experience. Everyone has a different experience, but that's how it was for me. But aside from all of that stuff, there's really great things that took place in Afghanistan. Some really great efforts were made. And, it was a really awesome experience to be able to be a part of that.
Yeah. So, and talking to you a little bit about, I can sense that you really enjoyed your, like, with the exception of the difficult situations that you dealt with overseas, you seem to really enjoy your time in the military and the people you worked with.
Yeah. I think, for me, that's what kept me going. That's what kept me committed. It's the camaraderie, the friendships you make. Those networks, there's nothing like it. I mean, I can speak, on behalf of somebody who, we were in a conflict and we had what was called black comms, or essentially it's where they shut down all means of communication. And at the location that I was at the time, and my first line supervisor, and I'm going to spit her name out there. It's First Sergeant Rebecca Bellinger. She's down in 101st Fort Campbell right now. But at the time, she was my first line supervisor, amazing woman. And, she took the time to reach out to my family personally and directly and give them updates on my well-being to let them know that I was okay. And, it's just, that's just one example of what we do for each other.
Right.
We pick up the slack that we can't always manage, and we look out for each other. And, it's just a type of camaraderie that you can't, it's inseparable.
Yeah. Lifetime. It lasts a lifetime, I'm sure. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're still best buds today.
That's awesome. I look forward to meeting her. I've heard a lot of good things about her from you. So I look forward to meeting her. Yeah. But, and hopefully we'll have our chapter kicking off in Fort Campbell area in the near future. And, maybe she can be a part of it. Who knows? So, So talk about, so you served overseas. You had these really unique experiences. You had some difficult experiences, and then, talk about how your career kind of wrapped up. And I know it wasn't quite the way you intended, but talk about the way that your military career wrapped up.
Sure. So for me, it was like shock and awe all over again, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Essentially you go from, for me, I was at the time looking at Drill Sergeant Academy, and I was really excited and had an incident where I was out conducting physical training and started getting really bad nose and ears bleeds, and ended up going and getting checked out. And to my knowledge, I was informed that I had significant brain damage from a brain injury that occurred on a deployment. And at that time was basically told, hey, you are physically limited permanently from what you can physically do. And for those reasons, we have to medically retire you. Wow. So, at the time I got that news, I was 14 years in. So I only had 6 left to full retirement. I didn't really understand what a medical retirement was, but I was mad, because I was already on the downhill side. So, it was kind of disappointing, but, it all made sense in the end. But I think, what the most shocking part of that experience is you go from, being this leader, and, for me, I did really well in the Army. I did great on physical training. I had lots of awards and medals. I had lots of experience in training and certifications and things of that nature. And I was constantly being motivated and told, hey, you're a stellar soldier. You're a stellar NCO, and, you're doing great things for soldiers in the Army. And then, you're told you medically have to retire, and then you go through a transitional process. And that process, varies. The time of that process varies depending on the person, but for me, it was very quick.
Mm-hmm.
And within that time frame, you're told, you have X, Y, and Z physically and mentally wrong with you. And as kind of a trained soldier, you have the mentality, you say, okay, what do we do?
Right.
Hey, it's let's get you started on these meds. So, roger that, give me those meds, go home. You start taking these meds thinking that you're doing the right thing. Next thing you know, you're not the same person you once were, and you're trying to figure out, hey, what in the world is going on? What happened to me? And you can't help but to notice that the only thing that you've really done different besides leaving the military is you started these meds. And, these meds are a part of a treatment plan, that should be implemented and put into veterans care that unfortunately sometimes is not a priority.
Yeah.
It seems, from my experience, it's more of a priority that people get the meds they need, not the treatment they need. At least that's, again, through my experience,
right.
Working with, so.
How do you think you were when you were on all these meds? I mean, what was it about you that made it so difficult? Were you kind of in a fog all the time, or is it just, what is it about it?
I mean, it was all the above, really.
Okay.
I mean, it was a cocktail, it was a prescription cocktail of disaster, really, is what it was.
Wow.
And I think the biggest thing for me was, not knowing what my place was and not having the motivation to find that new place, that new fit for me. With that, you go through lots of weird changes. So you're not waking up at, 6 a.m. to go run 7 miles again. So what do? You wake up and, you go to Dunkin' Donuts and you get a vanilla iced latte and, a couple chocolate covered donuts. You know what I mean? And that's life.
Yeah.
And it's true, maybe not to that extent, but
right. You just kind of lose your drive.
And that stuff catches up to you.
Yeah.
You do. Yeah. And it's very easy to do that and to get complacent in your new lifestyle, so.
How normal do you think that is with other veterans? How often do you think people fall into that?
I would say if I had to put it if I had to rate it on a scale of percentage, I'd say about 90% of veterans that transition from the military go through a similar experience, maybe on a different, level of severity. But I think that experience is almost a guaranteed, thing.
Yeah.
You will go through that process. You will go and meet with those doctors, and they will find something. And in fact, they encourage you to list your medical conditions because these are necessary things that you need to lay out and line out so you can get established with the VA. And it's just so it happens that, within that process, you're also, being put on these medications and things of that nature.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's a very common thing. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, what would you tell other soldiers that are getting ready to transition out, in that same time frame? If some people are ready and they're transitioning, and then other people are planning on being there another 4 years like you were, and then they have this, unexpected transition.
What do you
tell them? What's your advice to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. My advice is just be true to yourself. You're going to have a lot of people that are going to look at you and they're going to evaluate you and they're going to create opinions on your behalf because that's their job and that's what they're paid to do. But nobody's going to understand you better than yourself. So, when you go to clear out of whatever branch it is of military that you're in, be very honest. Be very honest about everything, but also know what works for you and what doesn't. Just because you go in and you meet with these, physicians and they're able to diagnose and identify some issues. It doesn't mean that you have to take that pill that's handed to you. You know what I mean? It's not a mandatory thing that you have to do. It is the start of a treatment plan, and no physician, and at least that I have ever known, is going to create that treatment plan for you. That is something that you have to do. on your own and take the initiative to do, and tailor it to your lifestyle and to your needs and wants. Don't let somebody control that, because they will run you into the ground. I mean, again, in my experience, and I will say, I've sought care through many different means, whether it's the VA or, Fort Knox, Ireland Army Hospital, or, whatever, even third party, they're all similar. Not saying that they're not, great and they don't do great things. They do. But they're also doing their jobs too. And that's to identify, issues during your transition and to get you started.
So you really need to be an advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Advocate for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You got to be able to speak up and say, you know what, this isn't working for me. Mm-hmm. I don't like the way that I am when I'm, on this treatment. I mean,
And a lot of people don't know to say that. They think, oh, this is working, or this is how it's supposed to be. And they don't know to.
It's weird to think you have to defend yourself from treatment, but in some cases you really do, don't you?
You do. And I'll be honest too, my wife has a mental health background. She's a nurse and has, lots of critical care experience.
Well, we should have had her on here.
Well, I'll be honest. She's at work right now.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully, helping some very sick people. So I'm sure she's doing great, but, what I'm trying to get to here is it's very easy to get kind of sucked into this process and to not realize it, because as a soldier you're trained to listen and react, not respond but react. And or as a Marine, sailor, airman, whichever, that's kind of what you're informed to do. And what happens is, all of a sudden your life changes. You start feeling different, you start doing things differently, and you start noticing those changes, and then you feel out of place. And it's hard, when you leave such a tight-knit organization and you're kind of thrown out into the wild, and people all around you are much different, have a much different thought process than you, to really find common grounds and connect with those people. But, it's very important. And Alexis, to your point too, the best thing I could say is talk to and put yourself in environments and be around like-minded people. That's one of the most important things is, stick with and maintain those conversations and relationships that you made in the military, and, cherish those and hold on to them and maintain them, because those are what will help most people.
So that brings up a great point. And one of the things that I know you did kind of through this whole process is you started looking around at some nonprofits, didn't you? And where you could kind of get plugged in.
Yeah.
So talk about that, and just kind of, I think it's interesting because you worked really hard to find areas where you could find that commonality with other veterans, right?
Right. Yeah. And so, for me, I couldn't help but ask, hey, am I the only one that's going through this experience? Is it just me, or is there other people like me that are seeing the same things? And, wasn't surprised one bit. There were so many other people that could relate and had similar stories. So, I got together with 5 other veteran friends that lived locally one day for lunch and just said, hey, look, here's the deal. There's this charity, and there's this charity, but in some way, shape, or form, we all had some kind of personal disconnection or didn't feel, welcomed with those charities. And our solution was, well, hey, let's put together our own, and, it was, well, what do we want to focus on? And our mission is to improve the lives of veterans and their families through connections with the outdoors, and inspire them to be active, healthy, and resilient. Yeah. And, that kind of ties into what I was just saying before. It's very important that veterans network and put themselves in situations with like-minded people. I can't reiterate that enough.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something
huge.
That every veteran needs, whether they think they know it or not. Yeah.
Yep. And that's something, honestly, that everybody needs, regardless of whether you've served or not. Just put yourself in that situation. And I think one of the tragic things about going through COVID, the way that all of us did, was that we all isolated. We all, drew kind of back home, and we lost a lot of that. And, when you and these other people come along and start an organization like VETREC, you're helping with that. And that's so remarkable. And I think what VETREC has done and is getting ready to do is tremendous. And, I really want you to talk about that a little bit, talk about VETREC, talk about what you guys are doing and hope to accomplish.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, essentially, what we want to do is really just get big groups of veterans outside to do something that they may or may not be unfamiliar with. The idea is that we all live we have very busy lives, and we live, I mean, look at today's climate, in the world, and look at what we're constantly being fed, whether it's through the TV or the radio or whatever. There's this overwhelming flow of information and news that is just, it's really just kind of starting to kind of take its toll on everyone.
Yeah.
So, what we've been trying to do is create experiences for veterans and their families to put them in positions where they're so engaged with what they're doing that they're not thinking about, what was going on before they started or what they have to do later on that day or next week, but they're thinking about what's taking place right then and there in the moment with the people that they care about and want to be around.
Yeah.
And, building those connections and personal relationships. And, just to give you an example, we just recently, did a disc golf scramble. And, we've done canoeing, we've done kayaking, we've done group hikes, we've done, we've walked the Big Four bridge from Louisville to Indiana and had luncheons at Parlor Pizza and ice cream socials at Pearl Street Treats. There you go.
There you go.
And,
Those are my favorite
we've had some.
Yeah. You're making Alexis hungry now.
Fantastic. I want to give a shout out.
Shout out to Parlor Pizza. Yeah.
Yeah. Parlor is excellent too. And, it's a really great way to introduce people to get to meet, others. And what's cool and what I'm starting to see now is these people that we're bringing out for these events and stuff are building relationships outside of our charity.
Yeah.
And, I'm just seeing kind of Facebook banter and stuff going back and forth. And, it's just cool that, 3 months ago, these people didn't know each other and now they're like best buds.
That's so cool.
And
yeah.
That's the goal. That's what we want to do. We want to connect people. And we're super excited for what we've done. Coming up next year, we got some really cool outdoor education programs that we're looking at launching, bushcrafting, outdoor survival training, first aid, CPR, training, things of that nature. We're also looking at putting together a canoe and kayak program that'll be reoccurring. So essentially, if you guys wanted to come out and canoe with us or kayak, you just show up, at the park.
Yeah.
Be here at this time on this day, everything's there. You just jump in the boat and float. It's that simple.
That's awesome.
And that should be a jingle. Yeah.
Write that down.
You're coming up with marketing ideas right here on the podcast.
I know, right?
Yeah. That's so cool.
But that's just one of.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's all. Yeah.
Okay.
Those are just some of the things that we're looking at doing. And, there's a long list, but I'll tell you what, you can find all those and see more on our website. So if you want to go to www.vetreckentucky.com, it's just VETRECKY.com. And under the event section, you can see, what events we have coming up. And if there's ever something that somebody wants to do that we're not hosting or that isn't listed, please submit a contact form to us through our website and let us know what it is that you want to do. And our board will do everything we can to make that happen for you.
So I think this is so cool, and I'm so glad that you're able to talk about VETREC today and talk about what you guys are doing, because I really want to help promote this and I want to make it bigger, because the simplicity of it, it is simple, but it's so important to get people together, to get people talking, especially when all you hear is talk about what's going on in Afghanistan. And you've got all these people who put in a lot of time, put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that country, and are struggling with this right now. And instead of sitting at home just getting mad about it, let's get some people out. Let's get them talking. Let's get them doing something enjoyable. Let's get them outside. And you're doing exactly that. And I think it's so therapeutic to all those people who really are going through a tough time.
Absolutely. No, it's very important. And like, like we were talking earlier, it's so easy to get sucked in. You got this news, and unfortunately it's a tough time right now.
It is.
And it's being fed to you from every angle, the radio, the TV, social media, sidebar conversations at work. It's coming from everywhere. And it's very important that everyone, veterans or not, is taking time for yourselves to connect with yourself and connect with people that you care about.
Yep. And I think it's important too, just to remind people that the service that they gave, the years that they gave in service, were not lost. Just because this is over doesn't mean that time was wasted or misused. It did serve a purpose, and it did help a lot of people, and people's lives are better because of what they did. And I think just those reminders are so important. And you're doing great work, and your organization is doing great work. One thing that I don't like about the nonprofit world is that we so often believe that our organization is going to be the fix for everybody, or that our organization is the one that's really good. We know how to do it. But the reality is that everybody plays their role, and everyone has their good points. And you can do some things that USA Cares can't. And you can offer some opportunities to people that might be a better fit than what USA Cares can offer. And that's great. And we need to encourage each other's organizations and celebrate each other's strengths. And that's what we're going to do. So we're gonna really market VETREC. We're going to encourage people to check you all out and get involved. So
it's part of that network, building that network.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate that so much, and of course we're going to do the same for USA Cares as well. I think that's also included in our mission, is to partner with like-minded organizations, promote the greater good. Our mission and what we do isn't for personal gain or to get a big trophy or ribbon. We want to make the biggest impact and most positive impact possible we can in the veteran community. And, it takes an army to do that. And, and that's organizations, like ours, that are willing to work together and, kind of share each other's resources. So I'm very excited to, advocate for you guys as well. And I really, really do appreciate you guys doing the same for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything else you want to make sure people know about anything as far as transitioning out of the military, as far as VETREC, is there anything else you wanted to make sure you mentioned today?
Yeah. Find you something, find a niche. If you're getting out of the military right now, find something to look forward to and to get involved in. That's tied into the military or veteran community. There's going to be a lot of people who are getting ready to separate. They're like, you know what, when I get my DD-214, I'm wiping my hands and I'm cutting up my PT belt and I'm done. And that's a joke for some, but yeah. Here's the thing, give it 3 days after you get that DD-214 and tell me if those feelings are still mutual, because I guarantee you they're not. That sense of purpose is something that is in your blood, whether you think so or not, and you will miss it. So my advice to you is find an organization to get involved in, commit to it, to put some pride into it, just like you would if you were given a task in the military. And find people outside of your current network of friends and family, new people to engage in and to network with. It'll help you and really take you a long way.
I think it's a great point. And I think as you're looking for organizations to get involved with, shop around. There's not every nonprofit is the same, and not everyone is going to be a good fit for you. And that's okay. It doesn't mean it's a bad organization, or it just may not be right for you. I know you mentioned, you and your friends between all of you had looked at numerous organizations that just weren't the right fit, and that's fine. And but there's a lot of us out there, and there's a lot of military nonprofits. There's a lot of ways to get involved. Take the time, and don't feel bad when one isn't a good fit. Just keep looking, keep getting involved, keep asking a lot of questions, and find that group that's right for you.
Absolutely. Yep. And then, I think there's a couple really good resources out there too, that you can check out. I know you guys have some great resources listed on the USA Cares website. But I will also say too that GuideStar is a great program to search for veteran charities. So if you're trying to find something in your area, I think it's guidestar.com, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good
Check
one.
that
It'll give
out
you a
and,
lot of good information for sure.
Right.
Well, excellent, Michael. Thank you so much. It's great having you on. I think you offer a perspective that's unique and not unique at the same time. I think your experience is difficult and has been challenging, but I think it's one that a lot of people have probably gone through and may be reluctant to talk about. So your honesty and your bravery to talk about it is admirable, and you're going to help a lot of people as a result. And your organization, VETREC, is going to help a lot of people. So I admire what you're doing, and we're going to have you back on here someday, okay?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'd love to.
Maybe next time we'll have your wife on with you, too. We'll bring her on.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, she'd love to.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Well, man, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Alexis.
Thank you.
Alexis, we've got a couple people that I want to make sure we mention. We've had some companies really step up and help USA Cares help veterans. And these are organizations that have gone out of their way and really tried to help us reach just this population that really needs some love right now. So some of those are Renewal by Anderson.
Yes.
Talk about what Renewal has done.
We recently did a check presentation event. They redid they had a Windows project that they did at Fort Knox.
At Fort Knox. It's that whole, I'm going to say it wrong, but it's that cadet building.
Yes.
It's kind of, if you've been on Fort Knox, it's kind of that prominent building right in the middle of the base. That's the real eye catcher, and you drive by and you go, wow,
and they
that's
got
really
all
cool.
shiny, pretty new windows.
They did.
After how many years? I don't even know.
It was impressive before. It's even more impressive now.
Yes.
And
so they've really stepped up and given us some huge support, and are a new partner with us in the career transition program.
Yep.
So we'll have some. And
they've taken one of our people who's gone through our program, our senior leaders program, and they've placed him in there. He's doing great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's doing really well. So shout out to Tim Helfrich, president of Renewal by Anderson in Louisville. Thank you guys so much for all you have done. They had a presentation. They decided they wanted to make a difference, and they gave a check for $25,000 to USA Cares, and that is going to help a lot of people. It's so important to do. They have just gone out of their way to say, tell us what you need, and we want to help. So shout out to Anderson Windows and Renewal by Anderson. Another one, Cruz Custom Flags, just keeps coming and coming and coming and helping. Chris and Amber Cruz, remarkable people. They make bourbon barrel flags. So if you want to celebrate all things America in your living room and have it smell awesome like bourbon, it just ties in perfectly. And
they're beautifully crafted.
Yeah, check them out at cruzcustomsflags.com. The last one I want to mention is a new one that's really come out of their way to help us. It's called Good Day Financial. And Good Day Financial decided that they're going to raise some money right now to help over the weekend during September 11th. And they raised more than $3,000 in just a couple days. And thank you. I don't even know what else to say.
Yeah,
but
they had their team got together and just really showed up and showed out for us.
Yeah, they killed it. They killed it. So thank you to all those companies who support us. Thank you to all the individuals who support us. If you want to learn more about USA Cares, you can check us out at usacares.org, or you can check us out on all of the social media platforms. Alexis, where can they go?
We are on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. We're here on our Spotify.
All over the place.
Apple Podcast, everywhere.
Oh my gosh, check it out. Yeah, usacares.org is the place where you can go for all the great information. I do want to mention next week we've got another special guest coming up. We'll have Mr. Pat Troy with Cantor Fitzgerald. We're going to be sharing the powerful story of Cantor Fitzgerald and the experience that they went through on September 11th. This is going to be an episode you really don't want to miss. Make sure you tune in next week, and we'll share more stories. And we look forward to being with you again. Yep. Thank you all so much, and have a great day.
Bye.